Hi there. My name is Jack Wallen, and today I want to talk about something that I promised myself that I wouldn't talk about because, well, it's kind of a divisive topic. But it's New Year's Eve, 2024, which means tomorrow it'll be 2025. And 2025 is the year some pretty big changes are going to happen in the United States. I think you know what I'm talking about, right? So I'm not going to get into the deep and dirty aspects of politics, so don't worry. But let's face it, things are going to change, and very likely not for the better, especially for artists. And that's what I want to talk about today. How do we, you and I, survive? How do we navigate this new world order that we're going to be facing? Now, you're probably asking yourself, why? What's the big deal? It's not going to affect us. But is it really not going to affect us? Let me tell you something. All of my life, ever since I was a child, I have known that I am different in many, many ways. If you've been watching these videos long enough, you understand. You probably don't know quite the depths of how different I am, but I've hinted toward it. I mean, look at this. It goes much further than that. I mean, look at my hair. If you looked at my closet, you'd be like, "Oh boy, he's he's just he's going to be the target, one of the many targets." Look, being an artist is not easy, and I know. You're probably thinking, "Oh my gosh, not this again." He's going to go off on a spiel about how challenging it is in the world to be an artist. Well, we know that. We know that the world as it stands doesn't respect, appreciate artists in the way it used to. And my friends, I'm afraid that that's just going to get worse. And from 2025 onward, especially January the 20th, 2025, I believe that the primary focus or the majority of the respect in this country is going to shift even further. And unless you are a business person, a member of the wealthy, a sports figure, or a politician who happens to be on the right, you're going to have to deal with some things you haven't dealt with before. You know, we know, I know this for a fact, that being different can be a struggle. There, any given day, I can walk outside of my house and I can see the looks of derision aimed right at me. Because they look at me, what's going on with this guy? He doesn't dress like me. He doesn't behave like me. He doesn't talk like me. He doesn't think like me. What is up with him? Can I trust him? Should I report him to somebody? I've seen the stares. And I know people who suffer this considerably more than myself. And I hurt for those people. I fear for those people. And I think that all of the slings and arrows that they have suffered is going to start matriculating down to people like me and you. to artists because we tend to shrug off normalcy. I'm not normal. And I have worn that as a badge of honor and courage all of my life. Because trust me when I tell you how much courage it takes to step out of my house knowing I am who I am, and that the majority of people out there either fear or don't respect who I am. I get it. I see it. I feel it. And the act of stepping outside does take courage. And I know that sounds like hyperbole. And in some cases, it is hyperbole, but not all. And for the past few weeks, I've been thinking about this a lot. How do people like me navigate this uncertain future? Well, there are two options, quite honestly. The first option is we can hide who we are. We can be something that we are not. Sure, in the privacy of our own homes, we can be whoever we want. We can be that artist as out loud as we want. And when we go outside, we can do our damnedest to fall in lockstep with everybody else. But if you're like me, just hearing that sends a shiver down your spine. I have never fallen into lockstep with anybody. The drum beat that I march to is in multiple time signatures. So that's the other alternative. We continue being who and what we are, even in the face of adversity, because there will be adversity. Now, I'm not going to catastrophize this. I'm not going to say that there are going to be firing squads out there ready and waiting for anybody who isn't normal. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that given where we are in this nation, there are people who have been empowered and emboldened to think and feel very negatively about people like me and you. That they could look at us and say, you don't look like me. I don't trust you. I'm going to make sure that you either step in line or suffer the consequences. Think about this. Right back there, you can't see it because it's all blurry. There's the first 3 books in my Violent Delight series. That is an erotic thriller. I know other writers who primarily write eroticism. They're afraid. They're afraid that what is happening in this country is going to directly affect them to the point where their books will be pulled from the shelves. Simply because they don't fall into lockstep with normalcy. Same thing with horror. And spatterpunk, or splatterpunk, whichever one you want to say. I know authors who are afraid that their work is going to be pulled from the shelves. I mean, we've already seen it happening. How many books have been banned so far? And the ultra right haven't even really taken control yet. And this time around, yes, I know, 2016, they had their time in the limelight, but this time around, it's going to be different because there are not going to be any checks and balances. And if someone wants to say, hey, I think that what that artist is creating is lewd, crude, and socially unacceptable, as we used to say in the 80s, who's to say if something will not happen to their work and to the artists themselves? And I know the inclination might be to say, ooh, I don't want to deal with that. I'm afraid that something might happen to me or my family. And that's a valid concern. Because if art is your livelihood, it could be taken away from you. And then what are you going to do? How are you going to support yourself and your family? You're going to have to fall in lockstep and get a job with a big corporation? Every artist I know, if I said that to them, they'd run screaming. We don't speak a fluent business. If you were to put me in a corporate job, I don't think I would last very long. No, I know I wouldn't last very long because that's not who I am. And I'm in my 50s. I have spent a very, very long time becoming who I am. And I have been who I am for a very long time. I just kind of refined it a little bit as I grew older. And I'm proud of my work. I am very, very proud of the work that I've done. And I don't want to see it go away. I don't want some ultra right-wing conservative person who has got a boner for Project 2025, pardon my language, to step in and say, oh no, that person cannot do what they do because it goes against the teachings. So, my lovely, wonderful people, I don't know about you, but I fully intend on being me, regardless of what is said to me, of the looks I get. I am going to keep being me. And there is no politician in the world that can stop me. And if they try, they will fail. Now, I'm not saying that we should all go out and in a mob and attack anyone. I'm not saying that at all because I am against violence. I am a straight up pacifist. But let them come from me, the people I love and the people I respect. And they will see what a small little artist can do. What that kind of rage can do, even to an artist, even to a pacifist. I'm not saying that I'm going to get violent. I will not get violent, but I will stand up for myself, and I will stand up for those I love and I respect. And I will stand up for people's right to create art. Because a society without art is not a society that I want to be in. And I will not let anyone dictate, except maybe my publisher, I will not let anyone dictate what I write, how I write, when I write, or why I write. So, if you're an artist and you're afraid of what's going to happen in the coming years, know this: it's only temporary. And we are mighty. And no one will steal our voice. We just have to be resolute and stand up for what we believe. I believe, you know this of me, I believe in art. I believe in the power and the healing ability of art. So yeah, I'm afraid, I'm scared. I don't know what's going to happen, and I can't predict the future. But I know it's going to be challenging for people like you and me. But I am not going to regress. I have spent the better part of this past year returning to who I am, to being my true self. I am unique. And quite frankly, I love that about myself. And I hope you do too. I hope that you love how unique you are. Because let's face it, if everyone in the world were the same, it would be a hell of a boring place. Diversity fuels the soul. Diversity is beautiful. And without it, well, you don't have to go that far back in time to find out what happens when a political power decides that diversity is blasphemy. We cannot let that happen again. We can't. So I hope that you will stand up with me and stand up for your art and look anyone in the eye who threatens you or your art and say, no, not today, Satan, not today. It's going to be challenging. And some of us are afraid. But we have each other's back. And we will stand up with and for one another to ensure that we can continue to be who we are and create the things that we love. Because what we're doing, who we are, is not wrong. It is not a bad thing. It is a beautiful thing. And I will not let anybody tell me otherwise. It's going to be okay. It really is. I want to wish you a very, very happy new year. I hope that 2025 does not become what we fear it might be. I hope that you find joy in incredible measure. I hope that you find happiness and peace. And I hope that your art transcends every expectation you've ever had. Thank you so, so very much for spending 2024 with me, my friends. It's been a year. It has been 365 days of a year. And I'm afraid that 2025 is going to be 730 days of a year, because it's just going to seem like it'll go on forever and ever and ever. But we're here for each other. Thank you again, and I hope that you and everyone you know and love have a wonderful, wonderful day.